Welcome back to A Better World. This is your host, Mitchell J. Rabin, and I'm very glad you're joining us again today. Today we're going to have another very interesting show. We are seated with the author of this book, The Forgotten Language of Children, by Lillian Firestone. Lillian has been part of what is known as the Gurdjieff work. You've heard me make reference to Gurdjieff countless times over the course of years. He's one of my teachers, mentors, and has had a tremendous influence on my life, and actually so has Lillian. Lillian has been the facilitator and leader of a group that I've been in over the course of years, actually many of them years ago. But the teaching of Mr. George Ivanovich Gurdjieff continues to live in me and in my bones, really, have touched my essence. And as a result, I wanted to have Lillian on the show to talk about this book because she, for way, way longer than me and most people, have been very deeply connected and part of this very precious work, which is becoming more relevant as time goes on. And he's one of those mystics at the turn of, well, the last century, who has exerted a very powerful influence, oftentimes behind the scenes, on our global lives. And I'm all the happier to have Lillian on, who is a spokesperson in many ways for the work, and particularly for her work with children, which she was, in a sense, now that we look back, spearheading in New York, in the United States, going back many years, and has raised her own children inside the work, and they've turned out to be utterly magnificent, wonderful, and society-contributing people. So it's really a real pleasure to have Lillian on. I'm excited about introducing her to you and learning about the kinds of things that help to create a better world. Hello, Lillian.
Thank you. That's quite an introduction.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome, and it's a pleasure to have you on. So, what inspired the book?
When I met the Gurdjieff work, I was a single mother with a young child, a little 2-year-old daughter, and I had a horror.
Risa, I take that to be.
I had a horror.
I know the whole family, of course.
That I would raise her with all the same stupid mistakes that I had been raised.
Oh.
And I thought, is there any way to escape?
Every parent's fear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any way to escape from the dead hand of habit? So, fortunately, I met the Gurdjieff work, and there was an experiment ongoing of how to bring a spiritual teaching to children without indoctrinating them. So I was accepted in this study with my little daughter, and we began what turned out to be a lifelong study for me of how to bring up children to be courageous, to be in touch with their essence, to have common sense, to have their feet firmly planted in this earth, and at the same time to still have their idealism and to still have their spiritual search if they have one, if they were born with one.
Mm-hmm. So are these ideas that you would say are not in circulation as you were raising Risa and then later Mark in the general populace of, parental influence?
Well, society today, as you know, is very organized to develop children's intellect. Everything is aimed at that. Now they're even talking about it in kindergarten, even in pre-kindergarten, teaching kids to read and developing their minds. But Mr. Gurdjieff understood that for a long time it was a child's emotions and his spirit that developed. Until about the age of 7, it was premature to introduce ideas and intellectual stuffing.
Yes, stuffing.
And,
yes, stuffing.
And then even after the age of 7, how to keep essence alive.
Mm-hmm.
You spoke of essence. And, to condense a life of search into a few words, I'd say what we discovered that children need more than anything is a challenge. Something interesting that they
along with love, I take it.
Along with love, along
attention.
with support,
Uh-huh.
along with attention.
Mm-hmm.
Something that makes them stretch in order to grow.
Yeah.
And support is absolutely crucial, because if you offer a child a challenge, You have to support him or her, whether he succeeds at the challenge or doesn't, whether he does well or poorly. It's the quality of his effort that we were looking to support, not the result. Efforts, not results. Efforts, not results.